Hey, remember that DSP, that third DSP video I was supposed to be working on? The one that's gonna be talking about like DSP reacts? That was supposed to work out weeks ago? Like these months ago? Well, guess what? I finally work on it now, and I have so much to talk about.
But if it's your fate, then every step forward will always be a step closer to home.
Hey everyone, I'm Mokeyrocks99, and it's been a while since I've done a DSP video. The last one I worked on was supposed to be covering 2 DSP videos I asked for, but I'm probably going to take some time to work on those. And I also just asked another DSP video from the worst modes of DSP that I might be working on later on. That's going to cover probably one of my favorite franchises, so this one I want to really dig into at some point. But this video is going to talk about the sinking business of both DSP Gaming and Phil's rebranded DSP Reacts. So let's go into the first thing. What's been going on with DSP Gaming since my last video? Well, by the time I think when I did that video, Phil had already kind of rebranded his whole reaction channel. At the time when I was before I was talking about it a while back, but by that time I didn't know if I want to talk about it yet because I felt like we didn't have enough what to go by this year. So I felt like I had to just, let this video stew for a little bit and come back when I have enough to talk about. And honestly, there's a lot to talk about now. So, DSP Reacts. What the hell is it? Well, this is Phil taking his old vlog channel that he, abandoned, and instead of making a whole brand new channel, he decided to take a dead channel and try to salvage it into a reaction channel. And this is basically where Phil proving that not only he's bad at basically just starting things from scratch, he's gonna take his old channels and just basically ruin, and then, well, in the right way to put it, he instead of just making a brand new channel, he tried to read that dead channel and try to get as much attention to them. And what to think about this, but his vlog channel, when he abandoned it, he expected people to actually come and watch that channel, which is again the biggest problem, is that Phil doesn't realize that he is basically having people double dip for 2 channels, his main channel and DSP Reacts. So DSP Reacts. Now, when I was working on that video, there was a lot that was going on. Phil had 3 ideas of what he wanted to do. I can't remember the other one. I think it was he had these 3-prong ideas. So one is DSP versus the internet, DSP Accent, and I can't remember the last one, but I think the third one basically obsolete. So we have nothing to talk about for that one. So Phil decided that the biggest focus is DSP versus the internet, and that is Phil trying to do reaction to videos that his fans, pay for. And the biggest issue with them is that Phil is obviously he is pre-streaming these, he's pre-gaming these videos, so it's kind of clear that his reactions don't feel kind of forced. But Phil basically tries to have some insight, he doesn't understand. He tries to, or how he can make this about himself, or he basically focusing on the fact that these videos have more views than him, so he's very bitter about it, and he will always basically try to skip, or he doesn't watch the videos fully. It's very much meaning that the money that people paid for these videos is wasted because he's not watching it fully. What's the point of making a reaction channel when you don't watch a full reaction to something? It's not like Phil has a Patreon where you can watch a full reaction to his videos uncut. He's just skipping videos, or just skipping them all entirely. He does shows that he doesn't understand what makes a reaction channel. And this is the same person who basically attack people for reactionary content. He's not understanding what it was. So the other thing Phil was trying to do was have like interviews with people, with other content creators. And this basically blew up in his face because of the Side Scroller podcasts and everything that happened afterwards. It's safe to say that Phil was not going to be trying to do any interviews with people ever again, because the Side Scroller podcast didn't give him any any viewership, let alone enough views that got him. In fact, it basically showed that interview basically was rent-free in his head. And it's safe to assume that he's now struggling to kind of come back past that. And he still seems like he's, well, it's safe to say that Studying Craig and Adam have kind of moved on a little bit from Phil a bit. Phil's definitely still rent-free about the whole thing, including Keen, including everybody else that still talks about it. And Phil is seeing just the results of he is doing a bad job of making himself a good content creator, let alone a good one. And that's kind of happened to one of the three-prong ideas. That's the issue. The issue with DSP Reacts is that Phil does not understand what makes a good reaction channel. Phil is struggling to basically understand, hey, this is not how you do it, and this is bad. Back to people who pay for all this, he insults people because they're being bored of it, because he's doing a bad job at it. Phil doesn't realize that his fans are the ones that are criticizing it, and if Phil actually opened his chat to actual criticism instead of keeping it a big hug box, he probably would improve. But he doesn't want to improve. He just wants what will get him money fast enough. And that really does come to the point of, like, DSP Reacts is going to fail, and it has not really shown any improvement since the launch of this idea. And Phil is definitely showing that, well, he has a very generic, like, intros. His intros are very generic. They don't have any style to them. His intros still, it seemed like obviously some ear troll induced, or basically no one getting paid to make good intros. He's doing a bad job of keeping people interested in his content. Phil is proving that why people don't like these reactions, and these are not good reaction content. And the fact that it won't be long now until Phil gets trolled into videos that he probably didn't screen, or he did not realize it. For all we know, Phil could basically lose these reacts, but with the tip of a hat. The more if he acts very, like, you know, venomous to his chat and everyone, it won't be long now until YouTube does something. Phil is not protected. He's not some guinea pig. He's not some golden boy. He is as vulnerable as any of us. And trust me, as we've been proven what's been going on so far in the Interactive Sphere, we're proof of that. We're having people losing it from who were used to be somewhat respected, now turning on each other. We're seeing people trying to. We're seeing the next Manic. We're seeing the next Pastor Miller. More recently, that person who tried to become, like, make a big face name for themselves, but only to basically ready to screw themselves over. And that's kind of what DSP Reacts is now. I don't see it going to get better, and I think it's going to basically not last to the end of the year. If it somehow makes it next year, they'll basically kept a sinking ship, still afloat in the best way possible. So now we come to DSP Gaming, and you can say this, Phil is definitely having a very good year this year. Not only the fact that no game has saved the business, he's attacked at games, he's been skipping content in games, and getting mad because the game is too easy for him. And I'm the only person who wished that people would stop using that GDC footage and saying that gaming is dumbed down because of Phil. Phil has nothing to do with the game development. He's not a guinea pig or anything. I'm the only person who does not take that whole GDC thing seriously. It's not because I'm not no copism. There's no dumping. It makes no sense. People don't understand game development or anything. Phil is just some random person they picked the video. That's it. People don't understand game development. People don't understand writing. The fact that people are still bitching about Forsaken is enough people. It's like, oh, the reason why should we pay writers because Forsaken exists? Guys, stop using Forsaken as your goddamn scapegoat at your point. That's why that tweet is getting ratio, because people are like, the fuck is wrong with that? But that's beside the point. Phil is definitely not been having a great year. I think that no game has given him any viewership. He's gotten more attention because of Tears of the Kingdom. His opinions, he's becoming more comfortable to a live game like Atomic Heart this year, Final Fantasy 16 this year. Phil is also basically showing he skips content in both Tears of the Kingdom and Final Fantasy 16. It's hard to say if he's not been skipping content in Diablo. And now he's trying to play an indie game like Amnesia, but Phil is trying to basically take a 6-hour game and see how far he can stretch it. The problem is, Phil is not only skipping content, but he's also wasting content. Even though you tell Phil the hour and playtime of a game, he doesn't believe you. And he will basically go out his way to try to artificially lengthen the game for no apparent reason. Phil is basically not seeing that that when he gets to a game, when the game is at its big hotness before it comes out until it comes out, Phil is basically either late to the party or taking too long. Because Phil takes too long to finish games, by that time everyone's already moving on to the next game, the next big thing. When Tears of the Kingdom, no, there's still gonna be some mixed feelings to that game. Everyone moved on to 16. Now everyone's waiting for the next big game. Phil takes too long to finish his games, and people don't care. He also does not give people reason to watch his content. It's boring, he has nothing to the content, he's failing, he's getting mad at developers, he finds a way to basically cheese a game, or it's a game because it's hard or easy. The fact that he brings up past Final Fantasy games, that they're better than 16, even though he could easily just improve he could up the difficulty, but he doesn't want to. Phil always plays more Final Fantasy games on standard mode. He brings up Kingdom Hearts 3, a game that, yes, it was easy at the base Kingdom Hearts 3, but then Critical Mode was added, Rebinding was added, stuff he didn't play, stuff he skipped. He doesn't know, and he's only played 3 Kingdom Hearts games. The fact he still brings up Kingdom Hearts in his mouth says a lot. But Phil thinks that he has opinions about gaming, but he attacks developers, he attacks game developers, he attacks systems. He is definitely shown why he's failing. These last couple of months, these last weeks have not shown success. But now when it comes to Street Fighter 6, Phil has definitely shown that that game is only kept around because someone is at least giving him money for it. But the issue is, it's not as supported as it seems. We're definitely seeing that Phil is not going to keep that game going for long. The more he's trying his hardest to try to find a safe, he's now finding people he's getting so mad people can beat him. He's thinking that people attack him because he's having fun. He's not. He's getting more mental to the detractors. Says how much he's now basically relive rent-free in his head. Every time he gets trending, it's rent-free in his head. He is definitely showing that he's losing his mind. We're having all these weird situations like the tire, the garbage disposal, the bet last week. He's losing his damn mind. He's showing that his success is not doing well. He's not going to keep doing this for long. His reaction channel is failing. If Phil puts his old content onto his KO Gaming, he's taking the Already Dead channel and trying to salvage it. Future Rocks here. This video is a bit longer than I originally intended because I had to edit out one of the clips I was using got blocked for a ride, so I had to kind of edit it out. And good thing too, because I can actually add a little bit more into a video, including an honest app. I will have to. Oh no, I should save my rant about Phil's nonsense about Final Fantasy 16, but I will let you know because I actually did get permission from Duty, and hopefully I get permission from DSP Tries to Be Live 1 for 2 videos, because dear god, the nonsense he says when it comes to these 2 games is annoying. But this does continue on to my point of how Phil is handling his business when it comes to these games. The biggest issue that Phil does is that he basically is his enjoyment of games only applies to when he gets big tips. If Phil gets a lot of tips, he will love a game regardless. Even if it's a game he does normally hate it, he definitely will find some enjoyment of it, if it's even possible. But when the game starts getting little tips, he starts to hate the game, just wants to be done with it. And this is something that really says that Phil is, and why Phil is bad at what he does is because he's just not adding anything to these well, I guess playthroughs, and also just the fact that he's doing a bad job at giving people what they want. Like, no one is the fact that he's won back GTA 5, a game I don't think anyone asked for. He's making the same mistakes, he's making the same jokes. It's really saying how much people are not really giving a reason to support this stuff. And with his stuff nonsense he's saying with a lot of games, the fact that he's attacking fans, anyone who attacks his opinion and his opinions don't make sense, he makes people wonder why no one agrees with him. The fact that he is really just reaching to the point where I think that his gameplay is, as long as Phil gets large tips, he's going to like a game. If the tips don't hit a threshold, he's not going to enjoy games too much, and will find everything out there to dislike it. And that's the problem, is that Phil only likes a game as long as it gives him a paycheck in a sense. And because Phil is just reaching the point where he's not enjoying gaming, is just that he doesn't really enjoy games, he just enjoys getting paid. And this is something that really does show in Phil's content. And this is going to keep continuing happening. The more Phil continues to put a game on be good because of if it gets him at bills, he's not going to enjoy a game more. So GTA 5 is going to be on the chopping block if it doesn't give him enough tips. If it's just going to feel like the same playthrough from 10 years ago. And the fact that Phil has not learned it seems like he's going to make the same mistakes, he's going to like to skip stuff, and like to skip side quests. Who knows if he's going to do all of that? This is the problem with his content. Especially now his thumbnails, which are very... Obviously, they don't have enough style. His titles do not give you anything to check in. He doesn't give you enough reason to check out stuff. This is why Phil is going to be level 1. And that is kind of the problem. The big issue is that Phil won't put the effort and expect that games are going to give him the views and the tips he needs. But the problem is, and this is going to be the issue, that games are not going to save his business from already crashing down in a sinking ship. He's doing a bad job of keeping a viewer base into this. So, final thoughts, because this video, I've been wanting to get this video out for a while. Phil will never get back to that. He'll always be level 1. So, have a good day and take care. Goodbye.